Thank you for your warm introduction. I will swiftly move on. Mu- Museums play a crucial role in preserving artworks, and they typically operate on a 10 to 5 hour cycle. Hence, incorporating carbon free and cost free light is crucial. However, the idea of lighting a museum with natural light is a complex concept. The tangible complexity of the study works with three applicable case studies. Um, but to choose the case studies, it has gone through a strategy, which is selection of space. Firstly, light is mainly divided into two ways: side lighting and top lighting. On the left side, you can see that the wall lights are more used in passage and they can take up valuable exhibition space, while the top light, referred to as roof light, can be more useful as it can spread more clear light throughout the space. The second part is the paint. There are lots of spaces inside a museum, out of which the two main spaces are painting and sculpture spaces. On the left, the painting spaces, they cannot be exposed to more than 50 lux as per SIPSI. Hence, lighting is mostly shut from these spaces, while sculpture spaces are workable within the benchmarks. Hence, the study looks at the sculpture spaces. And the third point is inside the sculpture spaces also, you can see that in the VNA Museum, the orange part is the casted sculpture spaces, while there are real sculpture spaces which are picked for the study because they will help understand the impact of light inside the space. And the fourth part is to pick the right roof. There are lots of roofs, but out of which three applicable roofs are first skylight roof, which is every roof has a case study that can be helpful to look at. The first one is VNA. The second is and natural history, and the third one is the skylight roof, which is looked in comparison with Newport Street Gallery. UDI tests are done throughout the year, but with the help of a typical sunny summer day, the study looks at the extremities of light in a day, and it also brings along intangible complexities in a space um, through through some questions asked on the site and observations did on the site. So to test those roofs, it was a crucial part in the study to simulate and to model them exactly how the space is. So the first one for the skylight roof, the daylight in winter falls under the acceptable range throughout the day, except for the first 2 hours. So these slides are every hour of the day of the impact of light on the floor plate of the space. So you can see that the 2 hours in winter are already out of the acceptable range, which means there is a huge problem for summer, which is clearly there. Summer has 3,000 lux throughout the year, which is very more than the exposure limits for the sculpture spaces. For second, double glazed glass was used in this roof. However, it works for some summer, but in winter, the roof type 2 falls in providing the light that it needs. And for the third roof type, the first half of the year is acceptable range, while the last half of the year is not. The rigid behavior of the roof does not match with the varied behavior of the weather here. Hence, with incorporation of blinds, this problem can be worked out. For the conclusion, for the first roof type, it is also important to see that, however, it did not work for few months of the year. The style of the roof works for Vienna as it has the grandeur and the sense of uh, hugeness that the roof has. It's the fault with the how the roof has been how the shading in the roof is not working, which can be changed with a more flexible way for the roof too. The roof works better when for a large space where there are few sculptures and the light needs to be captured in the space from outside the sculpture. And the third roof type can be helpful for diffuse light throughout the space, and with the incorporation of blinds, the roof can still become the ideal roof type for structures that are towards north and south. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone wants to raise a question?
Thank you. Hi, did you consider the different types of art that are displayed and how light could affect the quality or the materials on them? Like, for example, the difference between an old painting and a sculpture, for example?
Yes, so since the study looks at the sculpture spaces, in my final work, after you have the point that you have raised is actually very nice, because I did my study, which says that if you have a right space, if you have a right roof, what can go wrong then? The thing that can go wrong if you put the wrong surface reflectivity of a sculpture in a space. And that is exactly your question. So for that, the study also looks at in the main study that if you have this space, if you have this roof, what kind of a sculpture should be there in the space. So that if someone has worked out a light in a way that can be reflect, because the sculpture can reflect light however the way the sculpture is made. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, it can have a impact and a huge one, but it comes after these benchmarks.
Did you also consider like the different scales of the sculptures, like different heights or different the magnitude, basically?
I did, but they are not applicable here, because if you see, I tested, you can see the plates here, right? So I tested the plates on various heights, and after a point, the light has no impact, because the height of the space is like three-story height. So after a point, you will not see a huge change in the light diffusion because of the height of a sculpture. It will not have a huge impact.
Okay, thank you.
Just one last question. How do you rate the visitor's experience out of your study?
How do I rate their experience?
Because your title talks about visitors' experience, and I know you've done a very thorough analysis of the spaces. And for instance, did you consider a survey and to the visitors or something?
Yes, I did consider a survey, and I asked questions specific to how they feel about light in the space. And as you can see here, the museum, the V&A, has summer light, and you can see that on the left there is more light as compared to right. So the person who was standing here in this space said that the light was too much as compared to someone who was standing there. So the spot measurements on the site proved what they were saying, and that kind of helped me trust them. And get the information.
Thank you very much.